Greetings, friends, and welcome to the Interesting Ideas Radio Podcast for the 31st of August, the last day of the month, and obviously we're into already the ending of 2023. Yes, challenging times, and the year flies by. And for those of us who have interesting things to do and interesting and maybe even profound challenges in our life, we'd like to be a little bit better at doing that. And that's what this program is all about. This is a little bit different. This is not just an audio radio program, but this is also going out to many of you as the camera is taking the picture of me doing the podcast. And that's because we have learned that a lot of people now actually enjoy their podcast by simply seeing the people involved, the guests involved, and the pictures involved. And so I was told by those who are supposedly a little bit smarter than me that, Stan, you ought to do more and more of the video podcasts. And that's no problem because I do a lot of video programs. So that's what is happening. What I'd like to do today is just that. This is for leaders, and many of us are in situations where we need to do things a little bit differently. So, what I'm going to suggest is that we think about 7 powerful words that we need to learn to use and use them well. And then I'm going to challenge you. Could it be that some of you are sending not very nice messages to me and other people? That's right. It could be that many of you are just not sending good messages. You're sending not very nice messages to people. And I'd like to tell you why that might happen, and even though you aren't aware of it, and what you need to do about it. So let's begin. I'm Stan Houston. Again, it's Interesting Ideas, and the program begins right now. Well, we're back, and here we go. First of all, my daughter, who has a lot of responsibilities in her work in New York City, was talking about some of the challenges that she has in trying to make sure that the people that work with her, really follow through. And so I gave her this advice, which I've given to people who are in leadership, who are good people, nice people, kind people. But sometimes the people just don't get things done, and they don't get them in time, and they tend to not be, as you might say, as concerned about the project as you are. And so I've taught them these 7 words. Let's say you're discussing something that we need to get done. Here are the 7 words. Please. This is very important to me. You got that? Please. Remember, this is very important to me. And you say it with a smile, but it's eye to eye, and they get the impression that it's important. There are a lot of things that are important, but this is a priority. This is very important to me. Now, if the conversation goes any further, you may explain why, but you don't have to. You just let them know that right now, this is very important to me. Now, not only should you say that to your colleagues, but you need to say it to yourself. Hey, right now, I'm going through, as many of you are, a lot of decisions about my life and my business. In fact, in America, I oftentimes say, at least in North America, where the Labor Day celebration here takes place the first Monday in September. Yeah, I'll get it right. In September. And it's kind of the end of the summer season, the beginning of the school year, and kind of a back to work, a little more intensities involved. I oftentimes say this is a good time to make it a little bit of a new year. In fact, I have very much been in the practice of my new year does not begin in January. My new year begins with the Jewish New Year, the Rosh Hashanah day, and of course the Rosh Hashanah leading to the 10 days of awe, and then to the holiest day, Yom Kippur. So this is the time where I'm practicing and thinking about and doing my planning for the new year, which will begin in September. That's right. And I would encourage you to join my friends who do this, because it adds the spiritual, even the religious dimension to it. January 1st is, it's right after Christmas, it's fireworks and perhaps too much to drink and too much to eat, and there's no real spiritual power that you reach out and touch. Some years ago, churches oftentimes had what was called a watch night service, in which people spent the celebration, if we could call it that, at the ringing of the 12 o'clock. It was a time of prayer, of deep prayer about the new year. Well, that's probably something that we could do back again, but let me encourage you to just do that. And here, this is very important to me. Why don't you get out a piece of paper and take your pen. Why don't you write down what is very important to you? This is very important to me. And write those things down. It doesn't mean you're making a New Year resolution. It doesn't mean you're setting a goal, but it's important to you. This is very important to me. Well, I'm going to suggest that you use that expression. I've had a number of leaders said, that was really helpful. That was really helpful for, after the business meeting or the meeting where we talked about what we are going to do, in which I just simply made it very, very clear to my colleagues, or perhaps to the people who are responsible for that era. He said, just for a little bit of the intensity, not the threat, just the intensity, the importance. This is very important to me. Thank you. Thank you for remembering that. This is very important to me. That gives a little bit more of the emotional edge to the commitments that have been made. Just an idea for your thought and consideration. And now, could you be sending some not very nice messages? Well, that's next. Here we go. Here is a principle which most people don't get, and it's vital. Okay, would you write this down somewhere? You cannot not communicate. You cannot not communicate. Everything you do is communication. We know about body language. We know all of the things about how we express ourselves. but we are always communicating. But Stan, sometimes I just don't say anything. You are communicating. That's right. Now let me give you an example of how this may work. Let's say I send you an email. Now I'm not saying it is a newsletter or a sales pitch, but it is something that is not just a newsletter on a mailing list. It's a letter of some kind. It may have 3 or 4 or 5 other people to it, but it's about something that I'm involved in and something that I would like them to consider. Okay, I send that out. Now, I just recently did that to 5 people. Only one responded. Okay, what did the other 4 say? Well, you say, well, Stan, they didn't say anything. Oh, they didn't say anything, but you see, I got the message. Now, what message did I get? Well, it wasn't the one they may have intended, but you see, that's the point. When you don't communicate, then I interpret that my own way. I get a message, and it could be, well, Stan, I don't care about you and your stupid project. Now, they didn't say that, but maybe that's the message I got. Or, Stan, I'm too busy to deal with you now. That's not what they said, but those are the messages that may come into my heart, mind, and spirit. Now, I can be perhaps generous about that and say, well, they're obviously too busy, and I try and do that, but I do want you to know that you always communicate. You're always communicating. You cannot not communicate. And so when you blow off my email or don't answer it, you said something to me. Now, it wasn't what you said. It truly is the message I received, and that's what communication is. You cannot not communicate. And usually, the message you're sending is, you're not very important. You're not very important. I have more important things to do. Because what is true of all of those people is that there are messages that they get that they do always respond to, because those messages are more important to them. Again, I just want to remind you of that principle. You cannot not communicate. Now, I always make it a practice as best I can. Now, of course, I get tons of stuff that's just stuff that isn't meant for me. I'm just one of thousands of people. But when I get something that was directed to me in such a way that it has at least a personal intent, that they probably had me in mind when they sent it, I always make an attempt to respond. And sometimes it is just, thank you. I get these, Stan, I thought you'd be interested in this. And they're passing something on. I may or may not be interested in it, but they thought of me and thought I might be interested. So what do? I thank them. Thank you for thinking of me. I will try and respond to you or talk about it, but thank you for sending that to me. You cannot not communicate. And I'm getting to some of you right now because I should, because a number of people, in fact, I would say the vast majority of people today don't understand that fundamental principle. You are always communicating, and you cannot not communicate. So perhaps I could encourage you to think of ways where you're much more aware of that. That, hey, I got an email from this man. I got a note from this man. It's personal to me. I shouldn't just file it away or delete it. at least maybe I should at least be intentional about the message that I'm sending, because I will be receiving a message in some way, and that's the message I will have received, even if I make it up in my own mind, which of course I do. But it's the message I have, the message I get. Am I being too sensitive? I don't think so. I think I'm just being smart. It is very important for all of us in this day and age to start to act like ladies and gentlemen. Civility. We have lost in so many ways what used to be called good manners. In fact, I will be doing some work on that. Right now, there are a number of articles that are coming out within some of the thoughtful press about just that. All of the things that COVID has done, what social media has done, what so many cultural things have done, is that we are losing so much of what used to be called good manners. Good manners. Civility. The mark of a gentleman. The mark of a lady. Please think about that. I'm Stan Husted. Please reach out to me at stanhusted@gmail.com, stanhusted@gmail.com, and please let me know how I can help you in terms of the variety of things we do. And someone said, well, how do I reach you? Well, stanhusted@gmail.com. You can also go to witradio.net, and there's where I will teach you to do what you need to do in the 21st century, and that's how to be a broadcast communicator. And then let me know how I can help you. As one person said, I took it up on, Stan. You said, just put your name in on the search engine for YouTube. And I did that. And there were hundreds of them that came up. But the first one that came up, I listened to. And it turned out to be something that was really helpful to me. Even though I see you did it 3 years ago and you did it for somebody else, but it was helpful. Sometimes that serendipity and that good grace happens. So take care of yourself, take care of others, take care of the ones you love, take care of your soul. Keep it inspired and safe. All the best and blessings to you. Till next time, keep sending good messages, and bye for now. Please reach out to us. I'm Stan Husted. stanhusted@gmail.com, witradio.net, 520-664-7002, USA.